I am Rizaldi Abellana and my topic is Performance and Observation Based Assessment in Teaching Listening. So, what are the five macro skills? These are reading, writing, speaking, viewing, and listening. So, my topic is teaching listening. So, what is listening first? Listening is receiving a language or sound through our ears. Listening is very important in all types of communication because without the ability to listen effectively, messages are easily misunderstood. As a result, the sender of that message become frustrated and irritated because you did not paying attention to his or her message. Example, the teacher is explaining in front of a class. As one of that class, I should listen to my teacher because through listening effectively, I can get the correct information and that information and I can apply that in my daily lives correctly. Also, listening involves identifying sounds of speech and processing them into words and sentences. Listening requires focus and attention. Why? Why it requires focus and attention? Because you might get the wrong information if you cannot focus and give attention to someone who's speaking. And there is no conflict happened or misinterrupting or misinterpret because you listen his or her effectively. By the way, is there any difference between hearing and listening? For me, it's a big yes because hearing is simply the act of perceiving a sound through our ears, while listening, however, is something you consciously choose to do, and it requires also concentration in your brain so that your brain processes the meaning of that words and sentences. What is performance-based assessment? Performance-based assessment in general, it measures students' ability to apply the skills and knowledge from a unit or unit of study. Example of performances are debate, presentation, role playing. So, in that cases, we as a judges, we are using listening skills because in a debate, there are two persons or more performing. Then they are throwing different arguments and statements for them to win. During that presentation, we use our listening skills to listen effectively because in the end, we can easily our idea of whom of that two performing is the winner. In all, so in our daily lives, we use listening skills effectively and actively. Okay, how will a teacher assist to his or her students in their listening skill? For me, students in school cannot be successful if their listening skills is not developed or honed. Teachers can assist listening skills through conducting a few simple activities to his or her students and then record the results of that activity and develop an action plan addressing how to improve their listening skills if needed. So as a teacher, we should provide a few simple activities that our student might improve their listening skills. And through that activities, we can test them of, of how their listening skills will be developed and what are the ways to develop their listening skills. How do we assess listening comprehension? Listening comprehension cannot be measured directly. So, to be measured, we are going to ask our student like open-ended questions that requires them to speak. Example, If you are reading a story from them, then you are going to ask them questions of what are the lessons that they might get from the story that you are reading to them. So in that case, the listening comprehension of the students will function. There are 4 types of listening. These are appreciative listening, comprehensive listening, empathic listening, and critical listening. Appreciative listening is listening for enjoyment. The best example of appreciative listening is listening to a music, especially to a way to relax. Number 2 is comprehensive listening. This is the type of listening that we practice daily. It involves understanding the message or messages that are being communicated. In order to be able to use comprehensive listening and therefore gain understanding the listening, first needs appropriate vocabulary and language skills. The best example of comprehensive listening is attending a lecture, or you are having a conversation in your friend. The purpose of comprehensive listening is to understand best the message of our sender. Number 3 is empathic listening. Empathic listening is a dynamic and compassionate process that calls for more than one taking into someone else's word. The empathic listening, this type of listening is you are communicating to another person well. You're showing that you care about them, their thoughts, feelings, and you are willing to take the time to hear them out. Example of empathic listening phrases. I understand what you're saying. Thank you for sharing this with me. I appreciate that you trust me in this information, and many more. Okay, let's proceed to critical listening. What is critical listening? Critical listening is a process for understanding what is said and evaluating, judging, and forming an opinion of what you hear. The best example of critical listening is an upcoming election, and you need to decide who to vote. For you probably use some form of critical thinking. Critical listening when you watch a televised debate. You listen and evaluate to that debate. So we are done in 4 types of listening. The appreciative listening, the comprehensive listening, the empathic listening, and the critical listening. So let's move on to active listening. So what is active listening? Active listening is paying attention to a speaker and listen to understand, not to respond. The best example of active listening would be a student wait for his or her turn and considering what their peers have to say before stating their opinion in a classroom discussion. Example, group reporting. You listen first what your peer explain his or her topic, and if you have some idea on her opinion or in her or his report, just wait for your turn. That is the form of active listening. Is active listening important? Yes, because it helps in recognizing others' perspective and feelings and help us appreciate them. This is not help in resolving conflict, but it also helps foster a culture of respect. Try to understand others' perspective before responding. There is no misinterpreting and miscommunication happened. We have also a process of listening. These are receiving, understanding, evaluating, remembering, and responding. So, once you receive a certain message, your next step is to understand. The next is to evaluate, and next is remember, and the last is responding. So in this way, a person must interpret something said or done by another person, the speakers, and give it a name, and developed a feeling about. The receiver's job is to then seek understand whatever it the sender wants to communicate. We have also the 5 skills of a good listener. Number 1 is pay attention to the sender. Number 2 is being non-judgmental. Number 3 is understanding the speaker. Number 4 is being silent. And number 5 is declaring your understanding. Last is I will give you the 5 simple ways on how to sharpen our listening skills. Number 1 is paraphrase back what you heard. There is so much more than promoting what a person just said. Number 2 is be empathetic and open-minded. Put yourself in another person's shoes. Number 3 is do not multitask. First of all, there is no much thing in multitasking. Number 4 is if your mind wanders, admit it. And number 5, the last number is show that you're listening.